Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypherbox, and yesterday we had the opening press conference between Dillian Whyte and Lucas Browne. Now, before I get into what was said at the press conference between these two, my thoughts first of all, what do I think about this fight? I think it's a decent fight, it's a good fight, definitely going to be a competitive fight. These two definitely do not like each other. They both expressed, that they actually hate each other. In terms of this fight, how do I see it going? I think Dillian Whyte should win this fight, to be honest with you. Lucas Browne doesn't have the best boxing abilities, but he's still dangerous. And what I mean by that is that I think he possesses more punch power than Dillian Whyte. He does hit hard. I remember watching the fight against Chagiev. I think Lucas Browne is more effective when he's fighting from mid-range or on the inside or close range. I don't think he's as effective from long range, to be honest with you. I definitely think, short, close punches, when he's close to his opponents, that's when his power is most effective. He showed that against Chagiev. When he knocked Chagiev down, it was pretty much from close range, short right, and he put Chagiev on his backside and then obviously went on to finish the fight. Dillian, in my opinion, what he needs to do in this fight, I think he definitely needs to keep this fight at range, use his jab, don't allow Lucas Browne to close the distance or get in on the inside, because that's where he's most dangerous. I think another thing I would say for Dillian Whyte is, when I watched the fight against Helenius, I think one of the I know he only had 2 weeks notice, he didn't have a lot of prep time for Helenius, but one of the things I get frustrated with Dillian Whyte is when he throws that wild overhand right haymaker of his, and he did that quite a few times against Helenius, and he telegraphs that punch and you can see it coming, and it gives his opponent time to move out of the way, and a lot of times when he misses it, he either throws himself off balance or throws himself into the ropes. And I think, he just needs to be a bit more patient, box smart, wear Lucas Browne down, don't force the knockout. If the knockout comes, allow it to come naturally. Another thing I would say to Dillian Whyte is that he was quite emotional in the sense at the press conference, which I will get to in a minute. I think definitely, Dillian Whyte needs to take the emotion out of it. Don't go in there, looking, fighting on emotion, looking to knock Lucas Browne out in the first 3 or 4 rounds. Just be smart, box smart, move, use the ring, use your better boxing skill sets, which he does possess. I think he's a better boxer than Lucas Browne, and just be smart in there. Don't be reckless is what I would say, because if he does that, he's leaving opportunities open for Lucas Browne to take advantage of, and that's the last thing he wants. And this is a big fight pretty much for Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte right now, he's number 1 WBC contender after underneath Deontay Wilder. He doesn't want to put himself in a position where he's going back in his career to have to start again or anything like that. He's in a prime position to get a shot at a world title at some point. He's highly ranked in all the weight classes, so he wants to go in there and be smart and put in a professional performance. Don't go in there on emotion. That's what I would say to Dillian Whyte, in my opinion. The other thing I would say about Lucas Browne is that Lucas Browne, in the Chagiev fight, when I watched it again, another thing he did really well in that fight, in the earlier rounds, he wasn't, obviously he would have tired out the latter rounds, but in the earlier rounds, he displayed some really good foot movement. He danced around the ring, boxing, popping that jab out. So don't underestimate him. He does have some good foot movement under him, and he'll probably display that more in the earlier rounds. They are heavyweights, so he's not going to be able to do that the full 12 rounds if it goes 12 rounds or into the latter stages of the fight, because he will tire at some point. But that's what I'm saying. Dillian just needs to be smart. Even when Lucas Browne starts showing that foot movement earlier on and moving around the ring, he needs to pop that jab and aim to take the gas out of Lucas Browne's tank right from the get-go. Just be patient, and the win will come for Dillian Whyte. I think it will anyway. Okay, let's move on to the press conference which took place yesterday. Now, it's no secret, these two do not like each other, they hate each other. You know, Dillian Whyte clearly expressed that at the press conference. I can understand it to a degree, but you know, there was a couple of things, you know, there was a lot of things said at the press conference, but there's probably two things that I want to pick out and talk about. And the first one is Dillian Whyte's accusation to Lucas Browne that he's a racist. Now, I didn't actually see the tweet which offended Dillian Whyte. So if I get this wrong, feel free guys to correct me out there, because I didn't actually see the tweet myself. But I'm going on what both Lucas Browne and Dillian Whyte have been saying to each other and what they said at the press conference. So basically what Lucas Browne did not too long ago was he put up a picture on Twitter of a orangutan and associated that picture of an orangutan with Dillian Whyte. Lucas Browne says the reason he did that was he feels Dillian Whyte has unusually long arms and that his arms resemble the ones of a orangutan. Okay, I just checked BoxRec. Both these guys arm reach. Okay, BoxRec, as you know on BoxRec, they do fist to fist in terms of their arm reach, not armpit to the end of fist. Dillian Whyte has a 78-inch arm reach. Okay? Lucas Browne has a 77-inch arm reach. So there's not much difference there. Now, Dillian Whyte obviously brought this up at the press conference. Lucas Browne defended himself and basically turned around and said, well, I'm not a racist. He basically turned around and said he has his ex-wife was Filipino, his two children, I think he's got two kids. They're half Filipino, and his current girlfriend / partner is of Jamaican heritage. And even one of his cornermen, one of the guys on his team, he's black as well. So he says, I can't be racist. You know, the reason he was kind of defending it and saying the reason I put that picture up was because your arms, you know, resemble the ones of an orangutan. Dillian Whyte just turned around and said to him, he goes, look, he goes, end of the day, he goes, the one thing you don't do is put a picture up of an orangutan and associate it with a black man. Which I have to agree is true. You know, it's not exactly smart on your part. You know, and Dillian Whyte quite clearly isn't buying anything Lucas Browne is saying. He's firmly set on that Lucas Browne is a racist. I'm just going to, you know, go straight into this and give my opinion here, right? There's only two things here that will come out of this. Either you're a racist or you're a complete idiot. Which is it? Okay? Let's say Lucas Browne genuinely meant to put that picture up for that reason. Okay? At some point, while you were putting that picture up of that orangutan, even though Lucas Browne, even on IFL TV, turned around and said it was bad judgment on my part, fair enough. But at some point, okay, at some point, when you're putting that tweet up, you should have realised that, hold on, I'm about to put a picture up of a orangutan and I'm about to associate it to a black man. You know? Maybe I shouldn't do this, this isn't a good idea. And if you didn't have that thought go through your head, you're a complete idiot, in my opinion. You know, it shows ignorance as well, in my opinion. So even if Lucas Browne isn't a racist, fair enough, you know, if that's what he's saying, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to defend him or anything like that, but let's say that is the case, then you're an idiot. And instead of sitting at the press conference, trying to defend yourself saying that, well, my ex-wife was Filipino, my kids are half Filipino, my current girlfriend's, you know, from Jamaica, you know, the reason I put this picture up was that, you should have just turned around and said, listen, Dillian, all honesty, there was nothing racially motivated about that tweet. It was just complete stupidity on my part. I didn't stop to think, you know, that, you know, you may find this offensive. You know, I should have, but I didn't, and I'm a complete idiot for it. My apologies, please accept my apologies. That's what you should have said. Not sit there at the press conference trying to defend yourself. What you should have done was been apologetic. Outline and say, look, in front of the press, in front of everyone here, in front of everyone watching on YouTube right now, this is what I've got to say to you. I apologise. Yeah, I am not a racist. Please look, that's not my intention at all. You know, my intention was trying to get to you and wind you up. And you know what? I made a massive mistake. It was complete stupidity on my part. I apologise. Please accept my apologies. And that's it. That's what you should have done with Dillian Whyte. You shouldn't have sat there arguing, debating with him as to your reasons why you put up that picture. And then defending yourself, saying that I've got, you know, a black girlfriend and I've got a black trainer and all this sort of stuff. You should have just shut up. Forget all the excuses. You should have just sat there and said, I'm really sorry. It's stupidity on my part. I am not a racist. Please don't take it. I can understand why you took it that way. I totally understand. It was bad judgment on my part. I apologise. That's it. That's what you should have said. You've made matters worse by trying to justify what you did. And that's what he basically did. He was just trying to justify why he put up a picture of an orangutan and associated it with Dillian Whyte. Simple as that. You know, an apology is all you needed to do. Not all that rest of the stuff he said. You should have just said, forget all of my reasons for it. I just want to say to you, I apologise and I'm sorry. That's it. I'm an idiot. So, like I said, there's only two outcomes to this situation with Lucas Browne. It's either you're a racist, which I don't think he is, to be honest with you. I personally think he's an idiot, is what I think he is. An idiot who should have apologised for his ignorance and his stupidity. But it's either you're racist or you're an idiot. I'll let you guys decide on that one. Moving on, Dillian Whyte also referred to Lucas Browne as a junkie. Didn't call him a drug cheat or a PED abuser or anything like that. He just straight up called him a junkie. You know, in a sense, it's like, you know, you basically called the guy a crackhead. Because that's when you say junkie, that's what I think of, a crackhead. You know, when someone takes PEDs, in my opinion, you're just a drug cheat. Okay, so what is he referencing here? He's referring to the last couple of years. Lucas Browne, has had a few issues with performance-enhancing drugs. Where after his fight, before his fight with Chagiev, obviously he took a drug test, and the results after the fight came out, and he tested positive for clenbuterol, is it? And he was obviously stripped of his newly crowned WBA regular heavyweight world title because of that failed drug test. Later on, of course, he was cleared of this failed drug test. The WBA cleared him. They said they believed that he didn't take it intentionally. Lucas Browne also turned around and said he believes it came from contaminated water or contaminated meat. He had a steak the night before, and he believes that's where it came from, in his opinion. So he was cleared of that, fair enough. You know, they threw that one out and basically gave him the benefit of the doubt. Then several months later, he tested positive again for a over-the-counter supplement, a pre-workout supplement, which he holds his hand up to. He said that in the IFL interview he did, saying that was my fault. You know, I took an over-the-counter pre-workout supplement, which was on the banned list, and you know, I was careless. And you know what? Rightfully so. You know, that was my fault. So he was honest and open about that. Now, Dillian Whyte is obviously riding him hard about these failed drug tests. He's, you know, calling him a junkie and all that sort of stuff. Now, let's not forget, Dillian Whyte also failed a drug test. I think it was back in 2012. And Dillian Whyte did the same mistake when it comes to, you know, his failed drug test, which was he went and took a over-the-counter pre-workout supplement, from what I understand, called Jack 3D, which I believe is now banned in the UK. And apparently the rules for taking that supplement is that you're not allowed to take it, according to Dillian Whyte, you're not allowed to take it 12 hours before your fight with your opponent. Dillian Whyte did take it, he was tested, he was found guilty of it, and he was subsequently banned for failing that drug test. My point here is that take Lucas Browne's second failed drug test, take Dillian Whyte's failed drug test. There's no difference between the two. Let's be totally honest, there isn't a difference here. You know, you take Dillian Whyte's failed drug test, you take Lucas Browne's second failed drug test, exactly the same thing. Both of them took supplements that were on the ban list, and they're both subsequently banned for it, like I said. So there's no real difference in the examples. It's just the same example but with two different fighters. And I think, Dillian Whyte probably just needs to take his foot off the pedal a little bit and stop throwing out this pet abuser and you're a chunky and stuff like that, because there's no point to it, in my opinion. Alright, you may be able to pick at the first example because obviously he was given the benefit of the doubt. Did he actually take it, or was it contaminated meat? You could be a bit suspicious there. But in terms of the second example, it's exactly the same as your own. So I don't know why you're banging on about it, because you just make yourself look, you make yourself look ridiculous when you talk about it. So he should just let it go, in my opinion. I mean, after the press conference, they went and did their episode of The Gloves Are Off. So I'm looking forward to see what comes out of that one. That should be quite entertaining. I'm sure these topics will come up again, and they'll go back and forth with one another. Makes for a good fight. All this animosity in a sense, does make for a good build-up, which makes for a great fight, because these two guys absolutely hate each other. They do not like one another. So, expect fireworks on fight night, I hope, So, I hope they both really bring it, because sometimes we see these things, where there's this great build-up, you see all this animosity, you see a massive rivalry between two individuals who do not like each other, and then come fight night, the fight doesn't live up to the hype. So I'm hoping these two will bring it and, make an entertaining night of it. That's my viewpoint and my opinion on the whole situation. As always, guys, like, share and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.